Take a deep breath, breathe, let it go. Grief is not an easy emotion. In fact, it's not an emotion, it's an experience of waves that never stop coming. This is a hard thing to explain because if you haven't experienced it, you won't understand it. Grief is something that has a lot of guilt around it. When a certain event happens in your life, it can impact people in several different ways. You might feel nothing, and a part of you may feel guilty for not experiencing grief after someone you love has passed, after losing something important to you. Whether that's a friendship, a pet, a job you really loved, the loss of a hobby, or most commonly, a loved one passing. There are many ways you can feel grief, and I am going to break down the different emotions and scenarios where this experience is felt as it's normal. And you need that reminder, as you can experience grief over anything that was or still is important to you. You have to feel grief in order to move on. And feeling something like that is scary. But if you don't let yourself cry, be angry, scream, think about it, and take time, you will be in denial, which 90% of the time will prolong your grieving process. If you think you need to feel something, feel it. Go experience it, because your body is telling you that you need to, and there is no end date to grief. Sometimes people think that by saying things along the lines of, "I hope you're okay," and "stay strong," or even "it'll get better," adds more fuel to the fire rather than extinguishing the problem overall. I feel as though if you want to help someone who's experiencing grief, you need to listen to them, make time for them, make their feelings feel validated, be there for them, and also make sure you're not harming yourself and your own mental state in the process, which is a difficult thing to maneuver. Complicated grief is the most common. This is often something that's never really been resolved. It may be you putting your grieving process off and to the side to deal with later, which isn't healthy, or it can be something that only makes sense to you. Losing a pet, for an example, is something that not many people will understand the pain and emotions you feel once they're gone. I lost my puppy dog Soda a couple years ago now, and I found myself recently in Tasmania with a friend of mine. We saw a dog that was the same breed, and it came up to me giving me all sorts of attention. And I just started crying, bawling my eyes out because of how much I miss my dog. A loss of a pet can be more or equivalent to a human loss. So if you're watching this and you've lost a pet, know your feelings are valid, and it's extremely hard even though not everyone will understand you. The loss of a parent, grandparent, or partner, these hit different parts in the body, as some of these losses can cause high levels of stress, which can cause something called broken heart syndrome. I feel very alone today. Very alone. I feel as though when I lost my diddle, my whole view on my life changed and fell apart in a way. It's been 3 years for myself, and it hasn't gotten any easier. Even when I let myself feel my emotions, there are still constant reminders about him. So yes, grieving takes time, but it comes and goes in waves, and it's something that will stick with you for the rest of your life. However, you need to change your perspective on the experience and learn to grow from it. I know you've been broken into a million tiny pieces, but day by day you are becoming something even more beautiful and strong. That nothing else will break you the way your own mind does. Losing a friendship. Entering into my 20s, I've lost a lot of core friends of mine due to falling out, them outgrowing me, not communicating over social media, and them thinking they're too good for me. It's been hard, but I'm more than well aware that it is normal. Making friends in your 20s is extremely hard, and agree to disagree, but your 20s can be the best years of your life, but also the worst, as some people experience grief over friendships, getting caught up in the past. Just because something or someone hasn't died doesn't mean you can't feel this emotion. Relationships. Okay, this is a big one. How many of you have gotten your heart broken? Raise your hand. Okay, now how many of you have broken someone else's heart? Not many hands. Well, that's false. I'm here to tell you that even though you may not have been the issue or the problem, I can say there's a big majority of you who have subconsciously indeed broken someone else's heart without even realizing it. I know I've had my heart destroyed in the past, but I've also broken other people's too. It's a normal cycle in life. But this heartbreak leads to grief for some people, and it's a really hard thing to deal with if you don't have self-love or self-respect. Something a lot of people do is called romanticizing. So yes, maybe you left someone and ghosted them, but because they romanticized the idea of you so much, they will indeed experience the stages of grief. Losing someone is extremely hard. I can't even begin to imagine losing a significant other. But just know, there's other people out there in the same boat as you. They may have experienced something very similar, and sometimes talking to someone about these feelings is the best thing for you to do. And working on yourself can sometimes be the best medicine to move forward. I am so proud of you. Whether it's day one without the person or it's been 5 years and you're still crying, experiencing the waves, you are something incredibly unique. You are someone who can feel, and that, my friends, is beautiful. You love that person, that thing, that situation so passionately that you can take those emotions and put them into new passions and opportunities. That is just admirable. Just because you feel like your world is ending doesn't mean there isn't a new adventure waiting for you on the other side. If you really need help, please talk to a professional. Reach out at the very least. Remember, you can take as much time as you need. It's okay to cry out of the blue, and it's always okay to feel. Feeling something like grief should always be validated. Humans have all sorts of emotions. Every single one of them is felt with such passion, and that is sometimes hard to process. We get so caught up in our heads about the past or the future that we forget to live in the present. I think grieving is such a beautiful and yet painful experience, but it makes you human. And it's okay to feel the way you do, because in the end, you'll get something incredible out of it. Peace. You'll find calmness in the destruction and build something just beautiful. And that's something to be proud of and worth living for.